Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Sofa ChitChat. I'm Sigrid Inderberg, the International Artistic Director of Norwegian Culture Center and your host for this episode. In this Sofa ChitChat episode, we will discuss business in the arts with our guest, Singaporean financial manager, touring gallery owner and entrepreneur, Kenneth Tan. He has been in the arts industry for over 20 years. After his transition to the arts industry, he established the Atelier Art Gallery in Chinatown. He recently founded the art management company Wasuka Art that manages international artists that are presenting their art abroad. Hi Kenneth.
Hello.
So nice to see you again. Thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, you don't originally come from the art sector.
No.
So what made you set out your business in the visual arts?
It was out of boredom, really. To be honest, prior to setting up the Atelier Art, I was with a management consulting company, and my role was to advise corporations about their business models, their strategies, market research, and such. I did have some interest in art, and so what happened was, when you're advising companies about how to run their business, you start to reflect upon yourself to wonder whether, have you ever run, you ponder about your own experience actually, and you think that, I actually haven't run a company myself. So I started to think about, okay, what would I do? I had a little bit of interest in art. I have to be very honest with you. I know nothing about art. I come from an economics background. Anything about me is really about business, finance, and such. Art's not really the most creative person. So when I visited some galleries and some museums, this kind of, probably is a job hazard, I started thinking about how these places are run. And without much further thinking about it, I just went right into it. Yeah, I basically have this philosophy: if you think too much, you're never going to do anything. So I just got into setting up Atelier Art. I was quite blessed because once you start doing something, people will come your way, come into your life. You come across opportunities that you probably never, they were always there, but you never saw them. And so I got to meet some wonderful established artists, including Chung Seok Tin, the late Chung Seok Tin, who's a cultural medallion winner. She was so kind to me. She let me do one of her solo shows. And in this solo show, I got to meet other artists and collectors, and the rest is, as they say, is history.
What were your main inspirations for establishing these galleries? Yeah, was it like a childhood dream, or did you start with a goal?
No, none. As I mentioned earlier, it never even crossed my mind that I would one day be managing an art gallery. Let alone it has been 20 years already. No, I've never thought. I know I had this businessman in me, this entrepreneurial spirit that's in me. I knew I wanted to do something. So Atelier Art is just one of my companies, really. I've since set up another two more. Yeah. One is basically a business consulting firm. And then the most recent one last year, Wasuka Art, that is really to manage artists' careers, to help them, make their passion a livelihood. Yeah.
So this Wasuka Art Gallery.
Okay.
Any affiliation with the COVID and the global situation?
Yes. Artists. I had an artist who was concerned that the COVID may have lessen his exposure because he's trapped within the country, so we can't travel, which means that the outreach to audiences are not there because we can't get to art fairs. To be honest, you want to talk about online, yes, online is a platform, but when you go into the cyberspace, there are so many potentials out there, and you get lost. You're just one of the billions of artists that are in the cyberspace. So there's still need for his works to be physically seen. There must be something that was to be done to make his presence felt in the physical realm. So Wasuka Art came about when I had the opportunity to work with galleries and dealers in China, and as well as certain companies that deals with project management, where they commission artists. So funnily, or rather it's actually a blessing that Wasuka Art started last year in the right smack in the midst of COVID. In fact, in April. Yeah. But it's been quite a blessing because I believe the last count was we sold over 40 paintings just for these artists alone in the span of 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So well, at least I believe that I managed to get the right partners, the right channels open for these artists.
Congrats, that's great.
Thank you. So we are now looking to expand a bit more, and we believe that this service to assist, to represent the artists, goes beyond the four walls of a gallery, is much needed. Yeah, because there's contracts to be written. You need to navigate the whole complexity of the business environment in respective countries. And you need to find that right network of partners, from not just dealing, but payment, delivery, transportation, and so on and so forth. So yes, I believe that Wasuka Art is something that, a service that that would be beneficial to a lot of artists.
And you kind of find a gap.
Yeah, but to be honest, is this a new model? I mean, I could see this in actors. I mean, you have artists, kind of artist management, musicians will have representations. Maybe 20 years in the business, I'm not too clear whether this is something that this service has been offered, in a specialized and very in a specialized manner. Yeah.
So this is your newest project. So you're mentioning you've been running galleries for 20 years.
Yes.
Can you share with us some of the other notable milestones in your career?
Atelier Art. To set up Atelier Art is a milestone, considering I have zero background in the arts. And probably at that time you asked me to name some artists, I probably couldn't come up with a single one. I certainly didn't come from a family of creative people or people who appreciate art itself, Neither am I in a social circle of people who actually went to galleries. So setting up Atelier Art is a milestone. The other milestones that I'm particularly proud of, two of them, is that at least in this span of 20 years, a few of my artists were able to make sustainable livelihood from their art. And the other one that I'm particularly proud of is that we never targeted high net worth individuals. We believe when people say, art is for everyone, we believe in that, which means I also believe that collecting or buying of art and exhibiting in your own house is for everybody. So we have reached out to these group of people who have never stepped to the gallery before, who've never bought artwork before, bought their first art from us, and a few of them have now become quite collectors, notable collectors.
Wow.
Where we say collectors means the house has no longer the room to display any more artwork, but they continuously do so because they have passion for the work. They have they become quite big fans of certain artists, and they follow through their whole career. I think that's what artists need. They need people like that.
But how do you find this new audience group?
I don't know. They just came. I mean, let's be very honest. You can go out to search, but at the end of the day, you're still waiting behind the door and to welcome someone. Yeah, I mean that's the truth. You can never force anyone to come to your gallery. You can never force anyone to buy art. It is their own decision. So what we can do on our side is to make ourselves accessible. we're never highbrow. We don't, you come into our gallery, you don't feel intimidated because I'm there in my shorts and t-shirts. You know, I do not, because I don't come from an art background, you know, in terms of my education and such. So how I look at work is really very layman, and that when I talk to anyone coming into the gallery in layman terms, appreciating and understanding the work together, I feel that breaks down a lot of barriers. They feel much more at ease with the art, and they start be able to form their own opinions, you know, and develop their own sense of appreciation. So in that sense, I suppose that was my way. But like I say, at the end of the day, you want them to make their own decisions. What kind of art they buy. It may not be from me, it could be from anyone else, but bravo, we got someone who appreciates art.
So you say some of these artists, you help them get a sustainable income as an artist. Was that merely because you help them sell their art, or did you also give them some business advices or something like that?
Okay, so at the end of the day, the primary source of revenue and income comes from selling of the artwork, right? So that is the primary income. So you have to sell more in order for them to keep up with the inflating cost of living in Singapore, you know. And if you're not selling more, then eventually at some point in time, prices have to increase. I mean, that's just very basic rule of economics, right? We do get them commission projects. It could be with a real estate, or it could be just a individual commission piece of work. But at the end of the day, it's right, we're just trying to sell more of the work. In terms of business advice, yes, I think it's important for artists to understand about finance. You know, what do you do with your money? Right? It's so, I can't say I done that very much unless they approach me and ask. But I think everybody, not just artists, needs to know what to do with, how to manage their finances, how to grow their finance, their money. You know, not whether you're an employed person or not, whether it's a salary or from money from sales of art. What are you going to do with that money?
I certainly agree. So these have been some of the good things you've been doing with the artists. What kind of challenges have you run into when you're running galleries?
From a gallery perspective?
It's like, is there like some things I wish I knew that sooner, you know?
I knew that sooner. Landlords are evil. I went in really idealistic. Oh my goodness, Singapore is really quite landlord friendly. I think that I wish I bought the building rather than to rent sooner. There were occasions that we thought about it and we were too conservative, but I wish I did that. That would make a lot of difference in how we have grown. That's one. What else I learned sooner? Well, I knew how, I mean, I'm pretty much a people's person, so managing people is something that comes very naturally to me. But even that, I'm also very limited because the spectrum of personalities and characters out there are you know, is very diverse.
Yes.
So I wish I could have honed in my skill even better. Could that be it? I'm not sure whether I'm answering that question properly. But what else? Oh yeah, to your question about finances, right?
Yeah.
I should advise myself properly. You know, don't just leave the money in the bank. So even as a company, you can grow your money not just through just selling work. You know, putting in the proper financial products could have helped. So as you can see, what I'm trying to share here is that art is the industry that I'm in, the market that I'm in. But at the end of the day, we're running a a business, we're dealing with finances, and the rules is pretty much the same with any other industry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think you're the only one thinking I should have gotten into the real estate market earlier.
Yeah. We could have done that, by a shop house in Chinatown. We only utilized one floor to begin with.
Yeah.
We could have
Same in
rented out
Norway
there
as
too.
well,
Yeah. It's the same in many countries that we have worked in, Hong Kong, even in China too. It's nothing's getting cheap.
No.
Yeah.
True.
And if the cost of managing the business increases, then there's a real issue. Then you look at the prices of the artwork that you are selling. You have to face the cost. Here you have to face the price. How would the market react to this price increase? Right? So to me is the market big enough to buy more artworks so that we can keep up with the revenue? We have more revenue to keep up with the cost. Okay, that's one. But then if you think about more artwork, how many works can an artist create? I mean, there's a physical limitation too. So for a gallery means take on more artists. So if you take on more artists means you need to spend more resources developing each and every artist. So, and that how it snowballs. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. How about the art community, the gallery community in Singapore? Would you say it's more collaborative or competitive?
It's neither competitive nor collaborative, because not competitive because we are representing different artists. Non-collaborative because we are also representing different artists. Where do we collaborate? Another thing also is the size and the capacity of the gallery to be able to do collaborations. Do you have the capacity to follow through a collaboration, to do a project outside your gallery? So that's one. That said, we do have the Art Gallery Association of Singapore, who do their very best and have come up with programs to bring galleries together.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So, for example, like the gallery hop, where they bring, where they have this kind of buses that will bring you from one gallery to another. But really, at the end of the day, that's just an association's initiative, not so much galleries collaborating with one another. That's much. I think potentially that collaboration is something that could be looked into, to be explored, and maybe something may come out of it. But at this moment, I don't see any real effort, channeling to that at the moment.
This association, would it also support galleries when it comes to like legal rights, or if they need any help?
They do host talks. I understand that if there are fundings, not necessarily just from National Arts Council, because we do have an array of fundings in Singapore that supports businesses, SMEs as well. For instance, if there are fundings for you to market yourself outside Singapore, of course you need to apply and send in your proposal. I believe AGS do advise and assist the galleries who are interested in that to apply to such fundings, and maybe even to tell galleries that these fundings are available.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go into the government's policy pages, online, you probably will not know that these funds are available and what are the prerequisites. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So the new generation is becoming bolder in pursuing going into the business of the arts. Do you have any advices for these up-and-coming gallery owners?
Advice?
Don't do it. Cut that.
No, do it. In fact, 20 years ago when I first started, there were not that many galleries. There were not that much support for Singapore artists. People were buying. Well, those who do buy art, they were looking at, you could say, investment value or street cred or the credibility, you know, the status of the artist. So you're buying really, you know, well-known or very established ones. Now I'm beginning to see that there's more support for younger artists. Yeah, the time is right. I mean, we had slowly built our way. I mean, to such an environment. When, like I said, 20 years ago, not many galleries. There were only that many museums. Not like today. You have Esplanade, you have National Art Gallery. You know, even the museums have leveled up their game. They're very exciting. You know, in the way they present themselves. They really create wonderful experiences. They even bring blockbuster shows. You know, we have so many more festivals than we ever did before. So the population here are more exposed. You know, they find much joy in the arts. In fact, even our government has brought art events to the heartlands. You know, if they come to your event, they certainly brought the event to them. So I see that they're more exposed. The appreciation for it is growing. So the market is quite ripe. Artists, what we are producing from schools, I'm seeing more exciting practices. You know, not in terms of just not in terms of skills or techniques, but the materials, their approach. It's no longer just about a very pretty painting. You know, they're more commentaries. They're more socially and politically aware. They're more worldly in their narrative or in their artwork itself. So it's very, very exciting time. So I think there's plenty of rooms for these galleries to come in and brand accordingly to whom they're trying to reach out to. You know, in terms of artists and audience. You know, who, I guess it's very important to know what you yourself represent, because the gallery is really about the owner too. You can't represent everybody, right?
No.
Because to be honest, there's some art I don't like. Then how am I going to represent those art? Yeah, I've never tell an artist no in straight on. I would just say that unfortunately I may not be the suitable one for you, but you may want to consider these other galleries to represent you, because every gallery has their own niche, so to speak.
So why do you think it's worth starting a business in the arts?
The Singapore art market is quite ripe at the moment. You know, pardon the word ripe, but it has matured over the last 20 years since I first started. More galleries, more museums, more festivals. The exposure to the arts are you know, goes across board. You know, whether it could be within the school, or government bring art or cultural events to the heartlands, or big blockbusters, festivals and shows in the museums, in the central area. So it's become quite ingrained in our it's really been quite part of our annual calendar of things to do. So that's why I think that I'm saying that the market is very ripe. So there is a business potential. Now for new businesses, art businesses to come in, I would like to say that you better have a passion for it. Because if you're in for the glamour, you're in for the money, there is a lot of unglamorous thing that goes behind the scene to make a good show. Money is something that, like any other business, it takes time to build your revenue stream. It takes time to build out to acquire your share of the market, to build out that reputation and brand. So you must have that passion, then you must have the patience, and you must be true to yourself, because you can't just bring in works that you don't believe in or you don't even like just because of money. It's not sustainable for yourself. You won't enjoy I think you do need to enjoy in what you do, and I think this can go across any business. You must have a passion for it. So that would be one of my key advice to new businesses. And I also like not just new businesses, all existing art businesses to really rethink about our business model, because we have been quite a mom and pop shop to begin with. Is you will notice that worldwide, not just Singapore, that most gallery are one generation. After the owner passes on or decides to retire, there's no one to take over the gallery. Very, very few actually have done so, and they're not in Singapore. The other thing also, why is a business a two-man show or one-man show? Why can't it be a corporation? Why can't we grow into a corporation? So maybe we need to think out of the box, to look at your business model and see, how this business can actually grow into from a registered business to a company, a private limited company, to a corporation with many departments managing different things. Artist management, investment, exhibitions, so and so forth. It could grow. So I think that's the second advice I would give to new and old business fellas. Let's rethink how the art business model can evolve.
Right. Thanks for sharing these very good advices, Kenneth. And thank you again for being with us here today.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
This is it for this episode of Sofa ChitChat. We hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from our chit-chat with Kenneth Tan. You can view our other episodes and online content on the social media channels flashed on your screen. Once again, this is Sigrid Inderberg. Thank you and stay safe.